To me, the camera is more than just a tool. It's a passport to explore the world around us. The best way to do that is street photography. So today, I invite you to join me on around exploring one of my favorite neighborhoods here in Ho Chi Minh City. For me, the best way to do street photography is walking. Not from the back of a motorbike, not from the back of a car, but by walking the city. Also, I like to walk slowly because here in the streets of Saigon, there's always so much happening around us. You can also think about turning your photos into black and white, which often in street photography creates more atmosphere. So we are in the middle of the streets, like lunchtime frenzy. It's very busy, I like it. I'm gonna start with capturing some images that show the old and the new, and for that I put on a wide angle lens. I start shooting 24mm, maybe I go wider. I put my ISO on 800 because I shoot with f11, which means like there's a lot of depth of field. So everything from front to back that happens in the image will be in there. And I think let's just start shooting. So first thing I'm interested in is like the contrast between old and new here. Like I also include like some of the motorbikes driving by, like that creates like a super busy and interesting Saigon scene. There are like some people with like non-la and like a fun setup that kind of shows us how Saigon really looks. There are different techniques that you can apply when doing street photography. One thing we can call the fishing technique. That means we find a beautiful background, maybe a nice patch of light, and we can imagine how great it would be if someone passes through. So what you can do is you can already place yourself at that spot with that beautiful background. Think about your frame already, have everything ready to go, and then just wait for a motorbike to drive through and take the picture then. I see there's a lady coming with a non-la, so I'm just waiting. I want her in my frame. That's like the kind of like fishing technique that we have. Just need to get the right moment between those motorbikes coming by. Capture that. Another thing you can do, especially if you're in crowded places and don't want to disturb people around you too much, is that you create a few pre-settings. You set your camera on manual focus, but use a very small aperture, for example f11. You increase the ISO to 1600, use shutter speed around 100, 125, and then you can shoot from your hip, like so. This requires a little bit of experience with your camera and imagination to see how the camera sees. And I see it's like quite busy here, so what I'm gonna do is like I'm gonna go on manual focus and I'm just gonna like kind of hold my camera and shoot and while I'm walking around. So I have like quite a bunch of shots with a super wide angle now, so I think I take a few more and then after that I will just change my lens to like my go-to lens, which is a 35. But I'm gonna work with this one a little bit more just because it's fun. And now in the next step I'm gonna change my lens to like 35, which is really my favorite street photography lens. So I put on the 35, but like one thing about street photography is like I cannot really, like I don't really plan it ahead. I cannot predict what I'm shooting. It's more, I will shoot things the moment they pop up, the moment I feel they are interesting. I think now I'm just like slowly walking and like exploring the street around me and try to see what we can get here. I guess I said quite often in like street photography, I try to layer foreground with background. So I just see over here, here's like some greenery. And I will try to shoot through this greenery, like to capture a street scene around here. So, just like waiting for people or motorbikes to pass by here. There's like a car that says something about 10 years, that could be fun. I find these like kind of stickers that advertise like concrete or fixing or something, and I fill like a third of my frame with that, which will be blurry in the foreground, and then in the background we see like the landmark building, which is an iconic Saigon building, and we see some traffic coming by. So that way, like I have an image with many different layers and areas in which something is happening. So that's like kind of like one of the framing techniques that I like to work with a foreground and background and middle ground and all of that. So this is a kind of very interesting scene. I come up here. because we have like the kind of like the metro construction, which hopefully will open next year. So we have many layers of the city. We have the street level down here. We have high-rise buildings in the back. In the middle of all of that, we have a Buddha statue popping up from a pagoda. And I think, again, like that's a very cool composition. So I think I'm gonna shoot that like right now. Like sometimes it's like little details that are really cute and nice. If you want to take street portraits, it's good to ask for permission. There are different ways to do so. You can just walk up to people and say, hey, I think this is interesting, can I take a photo? Ah, okay. Chụp được không? Okay. Yeah, I think that's one of the examples of what I said before. Like, I think if you're friendly with people and if they invite you to take photos, of course do so, but it's never good to just sneak up. So I think that's one of the nice ways you can use photography, not only to take photos, but to explore the world around you and meet people.